Okay, so next session, create an environment variable related to the Lambda function associated with the API endpoint one is working on. Okay, so this is related to the online claims solution. Okay, so it's this one. So from yesterday's discussion, I've just spun up another branch and I've got another stack, and if I just quickly look through the different resources, I got API resources, I've got DMS resources, IAM, Kinesis, Lambda functions. And so what this is saying is we've got a Lambda function. Okay, actually, let me start from the start. It said API gateway. So let's go API gateway. Then we're going to be looking at the check resource, and if you go here, you can see that this is showing you the integration path. So this is the API endpoint. This is the, path that the payload goes through. And here it's got a link to the Lambda function that it is calling. So the Lambda function is EFN, which should be this one and the same. Yep. So this EFN function, and what we want to do is basically add an additional environment variable. So here under the Lambda function, under the configuration environment variables, we want to pass in variables which are unique to this environment. So specifically unique to this CloudFormation stack. So this CloudFormation stack has a whole bunch of Kinesis streams and also has DynamoDB tables. So here you can see the application's already been set up in such a way that it's passing in the Kinesis data stream names. So the stream that's going to be saving the request, the Kinesis stream that's going to be saving the response, and a table name, which is the name of the DynamoDB table. So what we want to do is we want to add a fourth environment variable. And let's say we want to add the name of another Lambda function in here. Let's say, because I know the situation that Jan wants to look into is we have a Lambda function, which is specifically this Lambda function, and we want to call another Lambda function. When we look back over here, no, let me close this one. When we look back over here, we've got 4 Lambda functions, and we want this calculate eligibility function to be able to call, I believe this is process acknowledgements. Where did I lose it? The process acknowledgement function. Okay, so we want to pass in basically this string. If you open up this resource, then you should have the function ARN. So hopefully we can pass in this whole string into the other function. So we want to be able to have like something like function name and then the ARN of that other function appear up here. Okay, so because this is not actually the application code, more related to the infrastructure, as in the configuration of the Lambda function, the configuration of S3 buckets, all those things outside of the actual business logic. Okay, so for this reason, let's go back and let's open up the online claim solution. Now we're going to be looking at the template.yaml file. So the template.yaml file has all of the infrastructure resources that we're going to be looking at. So if we bring up Lambda, for example, so we've got Lambda function, it's a type AWS Lambda function, and here you can see that it's got all sorts of things. It's got tags associated. So if we look over tags, you can see a whole bunch of tags attached to it, and these tags have been set in accordance to these values that have been set up here. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to alter these variables. Sorry, So we've got 3 environment variables, and we've got 3 environment variables here. Okay, so the process of making these changes is, let's say, function name. And so we're going to use CloudFormation commands. So these are intrinsic references, I believe. So these are all the different types of functions that you can use within your CloudFormation template. Some of the more common ones that we use is reference, is when you're referencing another resource within your CloudFormation template. So let's say we've got a Lambda function here, and this is the logical name of this resource. And if we wanted to reference, say for example, this API gateway resource, and this is the logical name, then you might have something like this. You might have something like this, attribute, ref, and then you just go grab the logical name. And so what that will do, at deployment time, this string will be replaced with a different value of this. So to find out what will actually appear here, it's best that you look up this value in Google. I'm not sure if this one has a value. So, okay, yep. You go to the CloudFormation reference documentation, look at return values. Under return values, it tells you for reference, when you pass in the logical ID of this, it will return the resource ID. Okay, so this one will return the resource ID. But in our example, we are going to try and retrieve the ARN of another Lambda function. Okay, so let's look that one up. So go to return values, and the reference, when you pass in logical ID, returns the resource name. Okay. The other alternative is you can return the ARN. Okay, so since we want to actually return the ARN, actually I'll show you both. Where are we? Okay, so function name and function ARN. So let me just find the other function that we want to get, which is this one. Let's just put that there. And then this one, the function ARN, let me just find the syntax for it. Okay, yep. Okay, so for this one, it's get attribute, and at this one specifically, you need to specify the attribute name that you want to retrieve. So let's just go back. We want the ARN value. Where was that? Where did I lose myself? There. Okay, so what this will do is, for this Lambda function, it's going to add 2 new environment variables for this Lambda function to reference. First one is the function name. So it's going to return the short function name. So I'll show you what that will return. So when you go back to your list of resources. So this is the function name, for example. And then this would be the complete ARN. Now the function name is part of the ARN. So if you look here, this section is the function name, and this is the complete ARN, the full text string. Okay. So now we've got those two values. Let's just save that down. Let's just check to see which branch we're in. We're in the test branch. Git add git. So just to confirm, we've only made some changes to the template.yaml. Git okay, so we've staged those changes, we've committed those changes with a commit message, and now we've just pushed those changes to code commit. So if we look over at code commit now, if we look for the test branch, actually, let me just look through the commits here. Test branch, just now, that's my new commit message. And I should have these two new entries here, the function name and function ARN. Okay, so now that I've added these, the pipeline that I have attached to this, I believe it's this one. Yep. So analytics, online claims, APS E2 test, and here you can see my commit message. It's going through the process of sourcing that application code, preparing my test image or my environment that I need for my integration testing. Once that's complete, it's going to build the packages, and then it should deploy my changes. Now, while we wait for that to finish off, I'll just find the relevant lines of code where you can use to reference those environment variables. So we're going to be looking at calculate eligibility. So to access environment variables, you're going to have to import the OS library. So that's going to give you access to operating system basically, and Lambda functions are basically tiny little operating system environments. So we're going to use that OS, and we're going to be able to retrieve our environment variables from the Lambda function operating environment. Now, let me just see if I can find an example where the environment variables have been pulled in. Okay, so this is one example, even though it's been commented out. So what this is doing is just printing the environment variable called table name. So that's what that one's doing. Anyway, let's just comment that again. And then this is another example where the environment has been called AWS execution environment. I don't remember that one. That might be an error. But anyway, here they are retrieving the table name, otherwise just default to this other table. There should be another one for Kinesis here. So they're retrieving the data stream name for the request and another one for the response. So yeah, that's a way that you can attach new environment variables to your Lambda functions, and then using the OS library, you can retrieve those environment variables from within your Lambda function. So again, you won't be able to access any of those, I guess, environment variables locally. You can set them up locally, but it's just a bit difficult to test. Okay, let's see where this is at. Okay, so now it's creating the change set. It's preparing the changes that it needs to make. So it should just identify that it needs to update the Lambda function and only the Lambda function. Let's have a look at that. So that goes under change set. So if we open change set, it should be, I think it's still creating. Okay, here. What is it doing? So it's saying that it needs to update all of these resources in the process of updating that value. For whatever reason, I'm not too sure. This one is just to refresh the endpoint. Anyway, so that's done. Now it should be going through the process of updating. Okay, so now that calculate eligibility function should have been updated. So if I go back over here, at the moment I only have 3 and I expect to see 5 when I refresh now. Okay, so now I've got function name here. So that's the function name, and here you've got the function ARN, which is that full ARN string, which stands for Amazon Resource Name. All right, that's all for this session. Thanks.